We just completed our first interview. We're on to our second interview here, and we will begin with some questions. Could you introduce yourself, sir?
My name is Thomas Kennedy. I've lived in Holly for 8 or 9 years now.
Okay. Is there anything if you want to tell
Sure.
about?
I presently work for the state of Michigan as a fire and safety officer supervisor at a state hospital down in Westland. I've been doing that I worked at that location for about 5 years. Prior to that, I was a firefighter over at the Milford Proving Grounds, firefighter EMT, where I did a lot of safety inspections and emergency response. Prior to that, I worked at another GM location as a EMT fire officer. Kind of the same stuff, just not, fire engine and ambulance and all that, but we were a fire brigade and did safety inspections and all that. And prior to that, I was in college. So.
Okay. Kathleen's going to start us off with asking some questions here for you.
Thank you, Mr. Kennedy, for being here. We're excited to review your resume and get to know you a little bit better. It's a very important position to us, of course, and we want to make sure that we find a great fit for the park supervisor for Holly Township Parks. I guess I'll just start right in there. What strengths do you bring with you to this position? What would you say your strengths are to lead in this position?
So, like I said, I've been a supervisor for a couple of years now. I have a lot of leadership experience, and with that, I also bring passion for my work. Everywhere I've gone, I've been very passionate for what I do. No matter what it is, I see the importance of it, especially when it comes to things that involve a safety element. I do have 3 young children, and I live in Holly, so this position would be very important to me. My oldest is 4, and I live over by Patterson. I don't know if you all know where that is. So she goes to that school. So I'm constantly looking at the different safety elements everywhere I go. My wife actually gets upset with me because I'll branch off and be like, how's their inspections of their fire extinguishers and stuff like that. So, anywhere I go, I have a passion for what I do. I've been in a safety/emergency response role for, 10 years? So a lot of that would be coming with me. I've never been in a park role or environment, but anything I take on, you can bet that I'll be the best at it.
Sounds great. Are there any weaknesses that you feel that you have coming into a position such as this that you would like to share with us?
Well, I don't know if I'd have any direct reports, but my current direct reports, I have about 14 of them, and they tend to tell me that I over-explain things. So I'll send an email out explaining a directive or whatnot, and I try to put as much details as I can, and they're like, here's another Kennedy book. So I tend to go too far, I guess, sometimes, but I don't know, I guess that could be a strength or a weakness, depending on who you are.
Exactly. Do you have any mechanical ability at all? And if you do, could you expound on that a little bit for us?
So I've never been in a direct maintenance role, but working as a firefighter, you use all types of gadgets, jaws, generators. I mean, I have experience with lawnmowers and stuff like that. I consistently used fire apparatus, so basically anything that comes across me, I can figure it out.
Okay, great. And is that something that you enjoy to do?
Yeah,
Sounds like?
I like to work with my hands. I like to get out and go do stuff.
Perfect.
I do have a lot of office work now, but I also try to get out and actually get into the environment as well, not just on the officers that I'm over.
If you had an employee who was constantly late, how would you handle that?
Well, I have been a supervisor for a couple years, so I have had this experience. Basically, it starts off, you can't just let it keep going or you set a precedent. It has to be addressed, and then you set basically a performance improvement plan. You let them know that you're monitoring them closely for however long, and hopefully they meet the performance improvement plan. If not, then you seek further disciplinary action.
What kind of hobbies do you have?
Well, like I said, I got 3 small kids, so it's difficult. Basically, they're my life and my hobby right now. I like to video game. I like to get outside. We have a fairly decent sized yard, so I'm trying to do stuff out there. But yeah, mostly video gaming. I work an off shift, so when I get home, it's 1 in the morning.
Oh.
So there's really not that much that I can do. I wake up at about 10, and then I'm basically just taking care of the kids until I leave.
As far as your schedule goes, would it be possible within a 40-hour week time frame for you to make yourself available in what I'd like to call flex time? If there was something going on in the evening in the parks, then to forego, the hours that would match in the morning to stay in the evening? Is that something that you would be able to do outside of the normal 9 to 5 or whatever you want to say?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've worked all different hours, day shift, afternoon shift, midnight shift. And luckily, I am blessed that I can have my wife stay at home. So if I do have to go out, we don't have to figure out what we're doing with the kids.
Right. Tag team, I get it.
So yeah, anything that needs to be done.
Okay. What drew you to put in your application for the Holly Township Parks?
Well, I've always had an interest in getting into the parks. Like I said, I work for the state, so I'm always looking at the governmentjobs.com website, and there's always park ranger and stuff like that. And I've thrown my hat in a few times here and there just because I do have an interest in getting into a park environment. And specifically, Holly Parks, because I live in Holly. I have skin in the game. I have kids that go to the parks, and I surround myself in a safety environment. So I would love to be able to bring that to the parks.
Have you visited Sorensen or the beach at all?
Oh yeah, I actually used to live a block over from the beach.
Okay.
So we were there pretty often.
Yeah, nice little beach.
Yeah.
Now, you've made mention that you do have supervisory experience. How many people have been under you as far as the supervisor position, and what more can you tell us about your supervisory experience?
Sure. So presently, I am a supervisor for the state. I have 14 people under me. That has fluctuated. I think it's gone up to 15 at one point. So there's that, and then my past jobs, I've always taken like a lead role. So at Milford Proving Grounds, I was pretty good at what I did. So the supervisors there would start putting people to me for training and stuff like that, and I would, help people be good at their inspections and whatnot. And I was in charge of certain things. So there was a couple dozen people there, firefighters. And it was the same thing at the place before that as well, but we didn't have as many people.
Okay. Thank you. Have you ever had any experience with writing grants at all, or any knowledge of the workings of how to go about writing grants?
I have experience with like procuring money for projects and stuff like that, but not specifically grants.
Okay.
Would that be like internal corporate budgeting and that or request?
So I work at a state hospital.
Right.
So it's for like large construction projects, renovations, everything we need, fire doors, you need to replace the cameras, everything.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
sometimes many thousands of dollars.
Mhm.
It just depends.
Yeah, these days for sure. If we were to ask friends, neighbors, acquaintances, how would people describe you?
Outgoing, friendly, family oriented for sure. I'm always with my kids and my wife. Outside of that, I don't really have a life.
No.
But who really has time when you got 3 small kids?
Exactly.
So,
What, if any, experience do you have maintaining facilities? I know that you've already mentioned about the safety aspect of that, but maintaining a park facility in particular, any?
sure. So in my current role, I closely work with other department heads. Me and one other person are basically the head of the safety department. So I'm constantly working closely with the director and the supervisor of housekeeping, maintenance. So anytime we're walking around, we see something needs to be done, we'll let them know, constantly putting in work orders for work to be done. I've worked with them to get the work done, seeing how we want to go about it. But yeah, I've never worked directly in a maintenance role, just often very closely with maintenance.
Okay. What other skills do you have that you think might be valuable to the Holly Township Park System?
Well, I know I already talked about, anything I take on, I have a passion for. So, like, even the things that are new to me, I kind of see them as a challenge that have to be overcome, and that excites me. But I think one of my strongest skills is my communication skills. Though, like I said, some people are like, Kennedy, you talk a lot. But I try to be as transparent and thorough as possible. Get all the information out there right at the start. I'm open to questions afterwards, but get it all out there. Just try to answer all the questions ahead of time. So communication for sure is one of my strengths. I am kind of a stickler for policy. So and I guess this is both a blessing and a curse as well. My supervisors are also sometimes like, Kenny, you gotta back off a little bit. You see things too in black and white. There's this gray area, and I'm like, there's not that much gray area. There's a policy for that. So.
I love that you're by the book. So, is there anything that you would like to ask us?
I know this position is park supervisor. Does it have direct reports under it? Like people that report to the position?
That's depending on our situation,
Yeah.
budgetary wise.
Okay.
Definitely seasonal, we do have. Currently, we do have one person in the office and that, but yes, there are people that can be underneath, but, with the size of our budget, that's kind of, depend on need basis. We don't have a structure that says X amount of spots. It's kind
Gotcha.
of what we can afford.
I
Yeah.
understand.
So besides the office workers at the Nature Center, then we are currently also looking for a program coordinator, so that
That would-
person would be involved in, probably, maybe not day-to-day, but at least weekly check-ins and touch bases kind of thing.
Okay.
Donna, did you have something?
Yeah.
Your question, yes.
You have to deal with a lot of different personalities. You got this board, which Kathleen wants you to know that she was the good person
I
on
am
the
the
board.
good, nice person here.
Bad cop.
I'm the cranky one. Yeah. And you have to deal with the township a lot, and sometimes you've got to stand your ground, and people aren't gonna like it, and then we have the Facebook board that's always yelling at us. And, are you sure you can handle all of these personalities? Every 4 years, people change too, because we're voted in.
Elected.
We're
Yeah.
elected
Elected.
in. And there's a lot of times the faces and the people and everything changed. Are you
Yeah.
ready for this?
It's so if the people I work with right now were in the audience, they'd be laughing and be like, "That's him," because yeah, I am consistently, like I said, with the gray area. I tend to see more black and white.
Mhm.
I find a lot of people see a lot of gray, and that tends to be, a point of conversation. But no, I stick to my guns when it comes to, especially following policies and stuff that are in place and written, and like you can read it. It's right here. This is what we're supposed to do. Yeah, absolutely.
Anybody? Joe?
Well, we will be making a decision tonight, and we will be getting back with you to let you know if you're accepted on it. Appreciate your time coming in and
Sorry.
answering the questions and that, and being patient enough to find the right door. I apologize for that one. It's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. It was just funny. Yeah, I literally walked this entire place.
Right,
But this was like
that's
the only section of the building I didn't see.
Right, so that's.
I called my wife. I'm like, was I stood up?
No. Although we might have
okay.
thought that, but no.
Yeah.
But appreciate it very much.
Apologies on my end as well.
So, but, all right.
So thank you again.
Thank you very much.
For coming
Yeah,
in.
have a good evening.
And for your detailed,
Yes,
information.
definitely.
Wow.
We appreciate that. It's like,
Impressive.
appreciate that
is
greatly.
appreciated.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay. Again, thank you. Look forward to
So,
hearing from us.
Mary, by chance, did you, no answer or anything? Okay, well, thank you.
Thank you, sir. I was EMT, Hecla Mining Company
Oh, yeah?
in Casa Grande, Arizona, mine rescue.
Oh,
It's a tough job,
wow. Yeah, I bet.
underground.
I've been an EMT since 2012. I've kept up my licensure. I'm not in an EMT role at the moment. But for whatever reason, they require the license.
Yeah,
Oh, really?
But they don't let me do anything.
yeah. Just in
Yeah.
case, yeah.
What made you switch from, you were doing fire rescue, so?
So,
Okay,
I,
all right.
I plan to be a
No.
paramedic firefighter.
Should we give a few minutes on this one?
I got,
Mr. Feeney, we're still on.
Yes, oh, sorry, yeah, Mr. Kennedy, yes. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, we were just trying to track down our last person here. And you know what, we're going to take, sorry for the interruption, but we're going to take a timeout here to figure out if our last interviewee is here or not. So if we could just take about a 5-minute